The Zarnak elite forces were one of the strongest military groups in the galaxy. They were proud and powerful. They believed they were smarter, faster, and stronger than any other species. Their ships were large and full of weapons. Their armor was shiny and dark. Their eyes were cold and hard like stone. They trained every day, followed every rule, and thought no one could ever beat them. The Zarnak thought they were better than everyone else, and they made sure others knew it. One day, while flying through space, a Zarnak scout ship found a small camp on a quiet moon. The moon was dusty and dry. The air was thin and there was no sign of cities or towns. Only rocks and long shadows covered the land, but something caught the Zarnak's attention. There were humans down there, young ones training. These humans wore light suits and carried backpacks. They were running, climbing, and working hard. They had no heavy guns, no tanks, no help. They were alone. The Zarnak leaders laughed when they saw the humans. "Is this what Earth calls training?" they joked. "Children playing in dirt." They believed human training was weak and useless. They thought humans were soft and silly. They had never seen humans fight. They had only heard stories. The Zarnak believed those stories were lies. So the Zarnak made a cruel decision. They flew down to the moon and surrounded the human camp. Their ships made no sound. Their black boots touched the ground without a noise. Before the humans could even grab their tools, the Zarnak had them surrounded. They tied the humans up with thick cables and took away all their gear. No one was allowed to speak. No questions were asked. There was no warning. It all happened fast. The humans were shocked. They were not soldiers yet. They were still learning. They had come to the moon to train, not to fight. But the Zarnak didn't care. They looked at the humans and saw toys, not people. The aliens sneered and hissed as they watched the young humans shiver in the cold. "We will give them a test," one Zarnak officer said. "Let's see how long they can survive on their own." The Zarnak took the humans to the middle of the moon's hardest area. It was full of sharp rocks and steep cliffs. The sky was dark. The wind howled across the land. There was no shelter. There was no food. The Zarnak dropped the humans there with nothing. No coats, no tools, no way to call for help. Then they left. The aliens returned to their ship and flew into orbit. From above, they watched the humans with their long-range cameras. They waited for the humans to cry, to fall, to give up. They laughed as the hours passed. "So weak," they said. "So slow, they will not last a day." What the Zarnak didn't know was that these humans were not just anyone. They had worked hard for many months to join Earth's special training program. Each one of them had been chosen from thousands of others. They were not quitters. They were not soft. They had trained their minds and bodies. They had learned how to survive in the hardest places. They were ready for pain, cold, and hunger. But even with all that training, this test was different. The Zarnak had taken everything from them. The humans were scared and confused. Some of them were hurt from being dragged across the ground. One had a broken arm. Another had cuts on her face. Yet no one gave up. They huddled together and talked in quiet voices. They made a plan. They found rocks to use as tools. They used their clothes to make slings and wraps. They looked for places to hide from the wind. They didn't cry. They didn't scream. They worked. They helped each other. They moved as one group. The Zarnak, watching from above, started to notice. "Why are they still standing?" one asked. Why haven't they fallen yet? More hours passed, then a whole day, then two. The humans were tired, cold, and hungry, but they kept going. They shared what little they had. They sang songs to keep their spirits up. They told each other stories. When one person felt weak, the others helped. When someone cried, they were not alone. Even though they had no gear, no food, and no weapons, they had something stronger. They had each other. The Zarnak leaders grew angry. Why do they not quit? They asked. What keeps them alive? One of the Zarnak commanders, a tall alien named Gorvak, became impatient. He ordered one of the human boys to be taken away from the group. The aliens grabbed him with a long metal arm and pulled him into the sky. The others watched, screaming and reaching, but they could not stop it. The Zarnak wanted to scare the humans. They wanted to show who was in control. They locked the boy in a small glass box and placed it on display above the moon, just floating in space. He was alone. The other humans could see him, but they could do nothing to help. Still, the humans below didn't fall apart. They stood together and raised their hands to the sky, making signs with their fingers, signs of hope. They believed he would return. They believed they would all make it. The Zarnak were confused. Why are they not begging? They asked. Why don't they scream for help? They didn't understand the human spirit. They didn't know what it meant to fight even when there was no chance of winning. They had never seen a group stay strong without weapons or power. Far away on Earth, someone was watching. A small training drone had escaped the attack and sent a message home. It had filmed everything. The moment the Zarnak landed, the way they tied the humans, the place they left them, even the boy in the glass box. The video was sent to Earth Space Command. Within minutes, leaders gathered in secret. Eyes grew wide. Hands turned into fists. The message spread across Earth like fire. People saw their children, brothers, sisters, and friends. They saw how the Zarnak had laughed. They saw the glass prison. They saw the cold test. And they felt something deep inside, anger and pain. They did not shout. They did not send ships right away. But something powerful had started. Back on the moon, another day passed. Then another. The humans grew thinner and weaker, but they did not stop. They built a small wall from rocks. They collected water from the thin ice in the shadows. They created signals using shiny metal pieces from the ground. They sent blinking lights into space. A message: we are alive. The Zarnak began to worry. Why are they still alive? They asked again. Why does this not end? Some Zarnak soldiers wanted to finish the test. Just take them out, they said. They are wasting time. But their leader shook his head. No, he replied. We will let them fail. That will break their spirit. But the humans didn't fail. Day after day, they survived. They didn't know help was coming. They didn't know Earth had seen the video. They didn't know their faces were on every screen. All they knew was that they had to stay alive, stay strong, and protect one another. In secret, Earth began to move. Not with noise, not with bright lights, but with silent ships and quiet plans. The galaxy did not know. The Zarnak did not see it coming. But the humans on the moon, they already knew. They could feel it. Something was coming. And it was not just for rescue. It was for justice. Each of the humans on that quiet moon had a name, a story, and someone who loved them deeply. They were not just soldiers or trainees. They were sons, daughters, friends, and brothers. They had families waiting for them, teachers who had guided them, and leaders who had chosen them. The Zarnak had thought these were just simple humans, easy to break and forget. But they were wrong. These humans were connected to people with power, people who had skills, and people who were not afraid to fight back when someone they cared about was hurt. One of the humans left on that cold moon was named Myra. She was young but smart and brave. Her older sister, Dr. Kaelin Voss, was one of Earth's top scientists. Dr. Voss worked deep inside the icy tunnels of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. There she helped build the galaxy's most secret tools, things that could find hidden ships, unlock enemy code, or power entire bases with just a small cube of energy. When she heard what happened to Myra, she stopped her work right away. Her hands shook and her heart filled with fire. Myra wasn't just her sister. She was her best friend, the one who made her laugh even during the hardest times. Dr. Voss said nothing to the team around her. She simply turned and walked to a secret door, the one only special people were allowed to open. Behind that door were plans she had never shared, tools no one had seen. And now she was going to use them. Another trainee on that moon was named Ryan. He was tall and kind, always helping others. He had joined the training program to one day protect people who couldn't protect themselves. His big brother, Commander Tyron Reeve, was the leader of the Raven Fleet, a group of fast and silent ships that could appear and disappear like shadows. Commander Reeve had fought many battles. He had lost friends and made hard choices, but nothing hurt him more than hearing that his little brother was taken. Ryan wasn't just family, he was hope. He was the reason Tyron had kept fighting. When Tyron saw the video of the captured humans, he paused it and stared at Ryan's face. Then he stood, walked to the command deck and called his crew. "We move at once," he said. "No orders needed." There was also Tessa, a young girl with strong arms and bright eyes. She didn't come from a rich family, but she worked harder than most. Her best friend, Leo, had joined the Builders League, a group of skilled people who made weapons, shields, and hidden systems. Leo had always protected Tessa when they were kids. Now that she was gone, he felt cold inside. He stopped working in the lab and opened an old toolbox his grandfather had given him. Inside were old designs, ones Earth had never approved. They were too dangerous, but Leo knew he had to do something. Tessa had always believed in him. Now it was time to fight for her, even if it meant using tools no one trusted. One boy, quiet and calm, was named Jalen. He had grown up near the edge of Earth's final city, where machines and people lived side by side. He loved puzzles, wires, and lights. His uncle was a top hacker known only by the name Echo. Echo didn't live in one place. He floated from system to system, always watching, always learning. When Echo saw his nephew in the Zarnak's prison, he smiled a sad smile. "You shouldn't have done that," he whispered to no one. Then he vanished from the system. That same night, small pieces of Zarnak code began to break. Their lights blinked wrong. Their doors opened without warning. They didn't know it yet, but Echo was already inside. Each of the humans had a protector, not just one person, but whole groups of people. There were engineers, soldiers, builders, doctors, thinkers, and dreamers. Some were old, others young. Some had never fought before, but now they were ready. They remembered birthdays, shared jokes, and quiet nights by the fire. Now those memories burned like fire. The people who loved the trainees didn't scream or shout. They got to work. They sharpened their skills and polished their tools. One human, a girl named Shayla, was known for her speed. She could run up hills and across cliffs faster than anyone in her group. Her mother was once a leader in Earth's ground defense forces. Though retired, she still wore her old badge and kept her uniform clean. When she heard what happened to Shayla, she didn't cry. She packed her bag, loaded her sidearm, and sent a message to her old team. "It's time," she wrote. That was all they needed. The old squad met again, gray hair and all, but still strong. They didn't plan to fight with ships or missiles. They had other ways, quiet ways. Earth had not forgotten its older heroes. Another trainee, a boy named Omar, had lost his father years ago in a mining accident. He had grown up with his aunt, who was now a top pilot for Earth's trade escort program. She knew how to fly through storms, dodge pirate attacks, and land on planets no one else dared to touch. She loved Omar like her own child. When she heard about the Zarnak, she stopped her escort mission, turned her ship, and flew toward Earth. "I need a new ship," she said when she arrived. "One built for more than cargo." Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. The Zarnak had made a mistake. They thought these humans were weak. They thought no one would care. But each human they hurt had someone strong behind them. Each human they dropped on that moon had become the reason for a quiet storm that was now starting to grow. On Earth, people began to whisper. Soldiers trained harder. Builders stayed up late. Scientists stopped smiling. The pain was deep and silent. The anger was strong but cold. There were no marches, no songs, but across the planet and its colonies, people were getting ready. Some groups had special names. One was called the Black Circle. They were thinkers and spies. Another was called the Silent Flame, a group of engineers who built machines that could change shape. There were also the Gray Owls, old war veterans who still remembered how to disappear in plain sight. All these groups had been quiet for years. But now their members started showing up at secret places, asking the same question: how do we help? Even schoolchildren heard the news. Teachers played soft music in class and told stories about bravery. Kids wore pins with the names of the missing humans. "Bring them home," the pins said. In every city, town, and base, people talked in low voices. They watched the stars, waiting. Out in space, Earth's quiet allies also began to move. The people of Varn, who once fought beside humans, sent a message: "Need help." The strong traders from the rings of Krylon stopped their deals and sent maps of Zarnak space. The quiet monks from the Moon of Flame whispered prayers and lit fires in honor of the lost. Even Earth's oldest space friends, the ice-skinned people of Thule, offered help. "We remember what you did for us," they said. "Now let us stand with you." The Zarnak had no idea. They still watched the humans on the moon and laughed. They still believed the trainees would give up. They still thought Earth was slow, soft, and full of weak hearts. They didn't know that every name they took had sparked a fire. Every human they hurt had planted a seed of action. And soon, those seeds would grow into something too big to stop. In hidden places, Earth's leaders met. They looked at the names, the faces, and the families. They did not speak of war. They spoke of answers. They spoke of justice. They did not want to destroy. They wanted to bring them home. But they also wanted to make sure it never happened again. And far above the moon, where the humans were still alive, the stars began to shift. Small ships, too quiet to see, moved closer. Their lights were dim. Their weapons were hidden, but they were not alone. They carried the love, the anger, and the power of a planet that had been hurt. And that planet had just started to rise. High above the cold moon where the young humans had been left, Earth's ships were getting close. They didn't flash lights or make noise. They moved like shadows through the stars. These were not warships with big guns. They were fast, small, and silent. Each one had a mission. Each one had a purpose. They were coming not to fight a full war. Not yet. They were coming to get their people back and to teach the Zarnak a lesson. Inside one of the ships, a small team sat quietly. These were not regular soldiers. They were special. Some were fast runners. Some were smart thinkers. Some were strong fighters. But all of them were calm, trained, and ready. Each one had a reason to be there. A sister, a brother, a best friend, someone they loved had been taken. And now they were ready to act. Their leader was a woman named Commander Lyra. She didn't shout. She didn't smile much. She spoke with soft words that still carried power. "We go in quiet," she told her team. "We don't fire unless we must. We get our people and we leave, but if the Zarnak hurt them again, we make sure they never forget us." The team nodded. No one asked questions. They had trained for this. They had waited for this. Their ship moved lower, slipping under the Zarnak radar. The alien sensors were still strong, but they had small cracks now, strange errors, quiet glitches. These had started a few days ago, little by little. The Zarnak didn't know it yet, but someone had been inside their system, changing things from the inside. That someone was Echo. Echo had found hidden doors in their computers. He had broken their codes like paper. He didn't scream. He didn't leave a trace. But he left holes, tiny gaps in the shield and camera feeds. He let the human ships come close, just close enough. Down on the moon, the young humans were still alive. They were tired and cold, but they were still standing. Myra had wrapped a broken pole with cloth to use as a cane for Jalen, whose ankle had swollen. Tessa was watching the sky every few minutes, hopping for something, anything. The stars were the same. The wind still blew, but something inside her told her to wait just a little longer. Then at midnight, a rock near their camp moved. It wasn't a big sound, but it was not normal. Omar turned fast. He picked up a long stick. The others stood close. They were ready to fight, even without weapons. Then a voice whispered from behind the rock, "Don't shout, don't run. We're here to bring you home." From the shadows came 4 humans in dark suits. Their faces were covered, but their hearts were full. They didn't hug. They didn't cry. There was no time, but their hands reached out. Their eyes said everything. Myra ran to them first. "How did you find us?" she asked. Commander Lyra gave a small smile. "The whole galaxy knows where you are." The rescue team gave warm packs, light food, and clean water. They helped Jalen walk. They checked everyone's health. "We can't stay long," said one of the team members. "Zarnak patrols come every 3 hours. We must move now." They helped the group walk through a hidden path behind a line of cliffs. It was steep and hard, but they moved quietly. Not one child complained. They had survived alone for days. Now, with help, they pushed forward with new strength. In space, more ships were moving. Echo had opened a clear way. The Zarnak could still not see the human vessels, but they were getting nervous. Something felt wrong. Their screens blinked strangely. Doors opened when they shouldn't. Lights flickered on and off. Their leaders began to worry. "Are we under attack?" asked one guard. "No," said another. "There's no fire, no sound." But they were wrong. They were under attack. It wasn't loud, it wasn't fast, but it was smart, it was patient. The humans had not sent war. They had sent something else: knowledge, planning, purpose. Back on the moon, the group reached a hill where small landing pods waited. They looked like rocks from far away, but when touched, they opened with soft lights. The humans climbed inside. The pods rose slowly like bubbles in water. They left no trail. Myra looked down at the moon as it grew smaller. "We made it," she whispered. But not all the humans had been rescued. The boy in the glass box, Talon, was still up there, still alone, still floating above the planet in the Zarnak's cruel trap. When the rescued group reached the main ship, Commander Lyra didn't rest. "One is still missing," she said. "We're not done." The others agreed. "We go again," they said, "all or none." Earth's command gave quiet approval. "Get him back, then leave a message." While one group had gone to rescue the trainees, another had been busy with something else. This team didn't carry weapons. They carried small devices no bigger than hands. These devices could stick to walls, floors, and even ships. Once placed, they waited. Then they would do what they were built to do: shut things down. Led by Leo, Tessa's best friend, this team had already placed 12 of these tools across the Zarnak base on the moon. The base had tall towers and deep caves. It watched everything. It held cameras, shields, and weapons. But now, inside its walls, the devices were waiting. One signal, that's all they needed. Leo stood on a ledge near the base. He held a small remote in his hand. "5 minutes," he said softly into his mic. Far above, another team reached the glass box where Talon was kept. They used a ship shaped like a space rock. It looked broken and empty, but inside it had claws, lights, and drills. It grabbed the glass box and pulled it in like a fishing net. Talon screamed at first. Then he saw the humans inside. "You came," he gasped. "Of course," said the pilot. "No one gets left behind." They opened the box and wrapped Talon in warm cloth. His hands were shaking, but he smiled. On the ground, Leo got the signal. The rescue was done. Everyone was safe. He pressed the button. At first, nothing happened. Then the lights in the Zarnak base blinked once, then twice. Then they all turned off. Sirens screamed, doors locked, shields dropped. The towers shut down. The Zarnak ran in panic. "What's happening?" one shouted. "Systems are falling," another cried. But no answer came. Everything had gone dark. Then on the main screen in the Zarnak command room, a message appeared. It was written in simple white letters. "You took our children, we came quietly. Next time we won't." Then the screen went black. The Zarnak leaders stood frozen. For the first time they felt fear. Not from bombs, not from fire, but from something stronger, from unity, from planning, from quiet action that left no room for pride. On the human ship, the rescued group sat in silence. They were safe. They were going home, but they didn't smile much. Their eyes were deep. Their thoughts were sharp. "We didn't fight them," Ryan said softly. No, Commander Lyra replied. We showed them something stronger. What's that? He asked. She looked at the stars. We showed them that when you hurt one human, you wake up all of Earth. Far away from Earth, the Zarnak leaders sat inside their tall silver tower. Their city was quiet, cold, and filled with machines that blinked and buzzed all day long. The tower had many levels, and each level had a job. Some watched the stars. Some tracked ships. Some listened for messages. For many years, the Zarnak had ruled many smaller worlds. They believed they were the smartest. They believed they were the strongest. And they believed humans were weak. But now something felt wrong. On the top floor of the tower, the Zarnak commander sat in a black chair. His name was War Leader Gors. He had led many battles. He had seen many victories, but today he was not happy. He stared at the large screen in front of him. Numbers were moving too fast. Lights were blinking in strange colors, and the news was not good. First, a supply ship had gone missing near the moon. It was supposed to bring food and tools to the base, but the ship never arrived. Then a guard tower on another planet had stopped working. The cameras turned off and the doors would not open. No one could reach the guards inside. Then, just last night, one of their stations lost power for 10 whole minutes. That had never happened before. Gors looked at his second-in-command. "Is this a mistake?" he asked. The second-in-command was named Velo. He was tall, thin, and very fast with computers. He shook his head. "No mistake," he said. "Our systems are being touched. Quietly. Someone is inside." "Who?" Gors asked, standing up slowly. His long fingers tapped on the table. "We think humans," Velo answered. "There are signs, small things not easy to see, but they match the way humans work." Gors's eyes grew cold. "But we already punished the humans. We took their young. We sent a message." "Yes," Velo said, "but now they are sending their message." The room grew quiet. Below the tower, in the lower levels, more workers were trying to find answers. They checked the cameras again and again. They looked at every station, every ship, every power line, but they found nothing clear. Everything looked normal, but it felt wrong. One worker named Xena had been with the Zarnak system for 5 years. She was smart and calm. She began to notice something strange. She saw that some files were missing from the computers, not big files, just small ones. One here, one there. But they were important files. Files about human names, human ship paths, and human bases. She called her team leader. "Someone is picking pieces from our memory," she said. "Who?" the leader asked. "I don't know," Xena said, "but they are careful, they are slow, like someone building a puzzle." Upstairs, War Leader Gors paced the floor. He remembered how easy it had been to take the young humans. They had not fought. They had not screamed. The Zarnak thought they were afraid. Now he began to wonder if he had been wrong. He ordered a full scan of every computer and every ship. He told all Zarnak soldiers to check every part of the base. He asked the top thinkers to find the pattern. "I want answers," he said, "before this becomes war." While the Zarnak searched, more strange things kept happening. A mining camp on one of their moons lost all power. The machines stopped digging. The lights went out. The workers had to walk 3 miles back to the base in the dark. Then a small meeting hall on another planet played a strange message on its screen. It said, "Return what you stole." No one knew how the message got there. The hall had been closed. No one had touched the controls. The words stayed on the screen for 1 full hour before fading away. In the shipyard where new ships were being built, a full row of machines shut down. The builders tried to fix them, but nothing worked. The machines had locked themselves and the codes were no longer working. One worker said quietly, "It feels like someone is watching us." Even the food systems were acting strange. On one station, all the food packs opened at once, filling the air with a strong smell. On another, the cooking tools only made cold meals. The Zarnak began to complain. "We are not at war, yet we are losing comfort." Inside the tower, war leader Gores met with his most trusted group. They sat around a round table. Each one wore a black robe. Each one had made many choices in the past. Some had started battles. Some had signed peace. All of them were worried now. One said, "We did not expect this." Another said, "We thought they were weak." Gores looked at them. "We thought wrong." One of the leaders spoke softly. "They are not using weapons. They are using the mind." "Humans are not loud," another added, "but they are not sleeping." All the leaders agreed. Something had changed. The humans were not begging. They were not hiding. They were moving, slowly, carefully, and smartly. Gores stood up and walked to the window. From there he could see the stars. He looked at Earth far in the distance. He had always thought of it as a small blue place, nothing strong, nothing special. Now he saw it in a different way. "We hurt their young," Gores said, "and now the grown ones are coming." He turned back to the table. "We must plan or we will fall." One of the leaders asked, "What do we do now?" Another leader added, "Should we return the young ones?" "No," said Gores, "not yet. That will make us look weak." "But if we wait," one warned, "they will come with more." "They already are," said Velo, who entered the room just then. He held a small tablet. "New reports just came in. 2 more ships went dark. 1 storage vault was emptied. We checked the records. Only humans knew that vault's code." Now even the older leaders looked scared. Gores sat down again. "They're already inside, not just our ships, not just our power, but our thinking. They know what we do. They know where we are weak." Outside the tower, the Zarnak soldiers trained harder. They added guards to every door. They checked every light, but the fear stayed. One young soldier whispered to another, "Do you think the humans will attack?" "I don't know," the other said, "but I think they already are." Up in space, human ships moved like wind. They didn't leave trails. They didn't make sound. They were not big fleets. Just small teams doing small things, cutting wires, changing codes, leaving messages. And on Earth, the leaders were still quiet. They had not shown anger. They had not sent big warnings, but they were watching and waiting. Every action the Zarnak took, Earth knew about it. In the shadows, Echo watched from a hidden station. His screen showed the Zarnak tower. He smiled. "They're starting to worry," he said. "Now it begins."